My name is Dr. Kisha McPherson. I am an assistant professor in professional communications at Ryerson. I started a community organization, which I continue to be involved with, that has been focusing on youth programming, both locally and internationally. I am a child of immigrants from Jamaica, and so I have connections to Jamaica and to the Caribbean. And so some of the work that I've been doing charitably has been focused on specific, countries and communities in the Caribbean. And so because I've always constantly been engaging with and working with youth, focusing on youth at a local level was a natural way for me to continue to engage in and ask questions about what Black youth were experiencing within the GTA. A lot of my research has focused specifically on Black youth, Black girls. And what I found is that my connection in reference to working within professional communications is that none of the research that I do with youth can be done without interrogating and really taking a look at social media, technology, and how that informs the experiences of young people today. And so as a result of that, I found that it was really important for me to include that focus as part of their experience, because there's no on or offline for youth. And then focusing on girls allowed me to sort of really dive deep into some of those historical narratives that have resulted in trauma and oppression for Black people, for Black women. Some of what I found is that we also are able to collect information about how they navigate spaces as forms of resistance. But however, it's important for us to understand that as youth, and especially Black youth or any youth from any marginalized community, yes, they're going to experience oppression in any space that they might be a part of, but it's also unfair for us to ask them to completely avoid that. One of the things we have to avoid as people who are working with different groups of contemporary youth is feeling as if the experience is the same when we were younger. So we have to listen, we have to pay attention to what those concerns are, why those concerns exist, and provide youth with the type of support that they need to take agency and ownership of their own lives. Language is a huge thing. So that's one of the things that we have to address. In today's society, we continue to learn new terms and language that allows us to do the work that we're doing. But language is really important in reference to how we are describing the experience of other people, especially within research, what we listen for when people are describing their own personal experience, as well as how we go about taking action, how we go about supporting and collaborating with different groups. A lot of the research and the academic work that I've been doing really stems from some of my work within the community. I'm a community engaged scholar, and so I always want to sort of see and make sure that I am, correctly and appropriately capturing the voices of Black girls, Black women within my service through this organization, and making sure that those voices are also held up and highlighted in research and scholarship, so that when there are changes that need to be made, when policies need to be adjusted, that there is data to support the needs of women and girls. And so what the Power to Be seeks to do, and some of the work that I do in my research and scholarship, is really allowing us to focus on the specific priorities and needs of Black women and girls, so that we can better understand how to go about coming up with strategic solutions so that people are getting closer to equity, because I think that that's kind of what we're all looking to do. One of the things that I'm really excited about with my role as an assistant professor is the ability that I will have to support students. I'm so looking forward to being able to support students as they work through their research questions, as they develop new skills, they refine the skills that they have in order to ask really important questions. So what I would say to young researcher, especially a young Black researcher, and the reason, a Black, female researcher, the reason why I would focus on that is just because it's been so difficult for me to, complete my studies from master's to Ph.D. I understand the desire to want to support your community through your research, through your scholarship. I understand the desire to want to find answers to really pressing questions, to collaborate and to support movements that advance racial equity, that advance gender equity. And so because I understand that, one of the things that I would say to these group of young people would be to continue to work towards your goal and know that there's not always going to be a solution that is in scholarship and in literature that's going to be able to help you to frame your study, to conduct community work, or to do whatever it is that you do. The unfortunate reality with Black life, especially within Canada, is that we've been excluded from these spaces like academia. We've been excluded from research, or in terms of any type of really rigorous, serious research that allows us to then develop other research questions and support our research by building data. And because of that exclusion, there's a lot that's going to be missing. And so you can't get discouraged by what you don't find. What we are at is at this really important time, especially as researchers and as young people, is that this really important time for us to answer questions, or to ask questions, and to find answers, and to develop those answers ourselves. I can't tell you how many times I could not find a specific type of framework or answer to a particular thing that I needed for something I was working on. And I ended up having to create it myself, to piece together a whole bunch of different literature information, sources, books, journals, all of that, to come up with a framework or something that I can work from that best speaks to the intersectionality of Black women and girls. It's something that, because my research has been focused in this area, I've become really good at creating my own resources and developing frameworks and systems that really help me to answer and solve some of those research questions that I might have. And so my advice would be to keep pressing forward and making sure that anything that you cannot find, but you know that it needs to be a specific way in order to describe whatever it is that you are talking about in your research, you might be the person to develop that. You might be the person that needs to come up with a way to develop a framework that will help you in those areas.